When people think of volcanoes, they typically think of what we see here. Spectacular eruptions and lava flows. But that only represents a fraction of the hazards that volcanoes present to people.
You mean it gets worse than having a lava flow through town?
Unfortunately, it can get a lot worse. Consider Pompeii, an ancient Roman town completely buried by ash from Mount Vesuvius nearly 2,000 years ago.
Wow, there was enough ash to bury a town?
There was enough ash to bury the town, several nearby towns, as well as the surrounding countryside. In more recent history, Mount St. Helens destroyed homes and highways in 1980, and Mount Merapi in Indonesia has erupted twice in the last century.
I didn't think about it. Man, we're lucky we don't have any volcanoes near us.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but the Koso Range is nearby, north of the Mojave Desert.
Oh no, maybe we should move.
Well, yeah, not so fast. You really need to assess your risk before you make any rash decisions.
All right, I guess we should find out what the risks are first.
Well, there are 9 hazards associated with volcanoes. They are lava flows, ash falls, glowing clouds, direct blasts, lahars, volcanic gases, volcanic earthquakes, tsunamis, and ash clouds that endanger aircraft.
I'm going to start packing.
Well, just identifying the hazards is just the first step. You need to determine the probability of those hazards occurring in your area in order to properly calculate the risk.
You've got 2 minutes.
Let's take the Koso Range as an example. Scientists have determined that about 40 eruptions have occurred in the last 250,000 years.
And so roughly every 6,000 years on average? Mm-hmm. When was the last one?
About 40,000 years ago. So we're probably overdue for an eruption of lava. However, lava flows are mostly localized events, so that wouldn't affect us here.
Okay, so anything else?
Well, the Koso Range is also the source of numerous volcanic earthquakes. However, we are more susceptible to earthquakes on local faults than we are from volcanic earthquakes.
And nowadays, we build homes and businesses that are earthquake resistant, so we can manage that risk.
Exactly. Other than that, scientists haven't collected enough data from the other hazards on the list to make a proper risk assessment.
So, who collects this kind of data?
In the United States, the U.S. Geological Survey collects data from scientists here and all over the world. They make observations of active volcanoes, as well as field data from prehistoric events.
And how do they decide what the risks are?
Well, first they have to evaluate the sample data in order to make sure that it's unbiased. If there's enough data to create a model, then they can simulate that model to make predictions.
That sounds reasonable. So our local risk from volcanoes is pretty low.
I would say that it's highly unlikely that it would be a hazard here. But it's still very important for us to study volcanoes and other disasters worldwide, as it allows us to prepare for and respond to their aftermath. In the US alone, they respond to nearly 70 disasters in almost 50 countries every year.
I didn't know that. So what part of the government does that?
Well, it's the Office of U.S. Foreign Disaster Assistance, and they have bureaus all over the world.
That sounds like a great job, helping people and traveling all over the world.
Or working right here, collecting and analyzing field data.
All right, I guess I won't pack right away. But I hope the risk doesn't suddenly get worse.
Good. Well, I'll let you know if any new data erupts.